My name is Alberto Juarez. I am the owner operator at Daruma Dojo, Sunnyvale, California. I've been training Jiu-Jitsu since 2003, third degree black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, black belt in Judo, Shodan rank. And we've been open now for about 7 months or so. Just really happy to be part of the BJJ community.
The old Grappler just awarded my blue belt. I've been coaching wrestling for about 14 years now. When I get in there, it is like everything just goes away. Like you're in there coaching on the mat for jiu-jitsu. It's a way of therapy. The old Grappler.
You said judo. Any other martial arts that you were part of before you got into jiu-jitsu?
Boxing. Actually, I started boxing was my first martial arts when I was like 17.
And how did that and judo transition into your jiu-jitsu?
Well, I was like a meathead in high school, and we put the boxing gloves on and go in the backyard and just brawl.
The Kimbo Slice version,
pretty much. And so I think I had a pretty good chin and a pretty mean right hand, and I thought I was something, you know. So I had someone that would train me. I did a couple of amateur boxing matches.
Okay.
Before I even started jiu-jitsu, I did 2 amateur matches. I won my first one, and I got my ass kicked in my second one. And then kind of soon after is when I started jiu-jitsu. I actually didn't start judo until I was already a black belt in jiu-jitsu. So I started judo as an old man. Mm-hmm.
Oh, but kind of like me in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
The old man.
Old man judo is much more suffering than old man jiu-jitsu, I feel.
But I'll stick to the jiu-jitsu. So, has the jiu-jitsu helped you in your judo?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. When I started doing judo, I was already a black belt as a jiu-jitsu practitioner. And in judo, they allow you to do some submissions on the ground, and you can pin people on the ground. And I had an introduction into throws from jiu-jitsu. So when I started competing in judo, I performed pretty well. I won national championships when I was a white belt.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was really fun. I competed a lot. My coach, David Williams, really stressed competition. And that was kind of one of the ways you kind of gain rank for him. And so we competed a lot. And yeah, so I won a lot of matches by pinning people on the ground or submitting them with chokes. I would say 50% of my wins were in that manner, and then the other 50% were drop knee seoi nage.
Going back to jiu-jitsu,
right?
You said 2003 you started?
Yeah.
And where did you start your journey in jiu-jitsu?
I was working out at a gym in Antioch. It was called Extreme Fitness, and just lifting weights. And I think it was the summer after I graduated high school. Nick Diaz was coaching there. He was a purple belt.
Nice.
Yeah, and he was doing like some no-gi stuff in the back room where they had the mats. Okay. And he would just come to the weight room and was like, "Hey, come on, come train." I didn't know who he was. He was way before UFC.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he was doing like King of the Cage and stuff. And I remember when I first met him, he had like a newspaper clipping of him kimuraing some dude and like breaking his arm from the last King of the Cage he did. I was like, "All right, I'll give it a try." Right? He was like, "You're gonna get a 6-pack. You're gonna get ripped up." And so I was like, "All right, cool." So like I started rolling and stuff, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I was really drawn to it for the workout. Right? I was like, "Oh man, this is like a workout I never seen before." Rolling and like getting exhausted, getting tired, and then I had that tough guy mentality with the boxing, knocking out my friends, and so I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be an MMA fighter," and I'm just all pumped up. So that's how I kind of got started into it with him, and then I would train at that gym, and then on occasion go with him to the Cesar Gracie and Pleasant Hill.
We talked a little bit before we started. You said that once you got to blue belt, you decided that you were going to just be a full-time practitioner of jiu-jitsu. Yeah. How did you make that decision, and what led you there, and how has it gone from that point?
Well, when I was going to Pleasant Hill, I'll never forget the moment. I tell the story all the time that I was thinking I was going to do MMA. Because that's like with Nick Diaz and his crew, the Gilbert Melendez and all these other folks that were that team at the time, right?
Right.
Nate Diaz and
Jake
Shields, Dave Terrell. So like I was looking up to these guys, like, oh man, they're badass. They're MMA fighters. They're black belts. Or like I think Dave Terrell was a black belt at the time, so he was. And so, but then as I started doing the jiu-jitsu, this one orange belt, he was like 13 years old, just beat the shit out of me, tapped me like 4 times in one round.
I'm Castros full service. What am I saying? Check. I'd like to say thank you to our sponsor, Castros Pool Service and Repair. Phone number 209-675-5418. I am Castros Pool Service and Repair. Thanks.
Choke, armbar, triangle, and I'm like, what the fuck?
So what just happened?
Yeah. And so I was just tripped out. And at that moment, I realized I need to learn. I want to do jiu-jitsu because this is something I never experienced before.
Right.
And then the guy that I was doing boxing with, my boxing instructor said, hey, if you want to do MMA, you should stick with Nick Diaz and that group. But if you want to just learn jiu-jitsu, you should go to Half Gracie in Antioch.
Okay.
So there was a Half Gracie in downtown Antioch. And so I went down there and I started training there. And Professor Ricardo Barros, he was running that gym. And so I was there with him. And since then, I went from white to black all the way with him.
Over in Antioch.
In Antioch, I got my blue belt there. And then he moved and opened up his own gym in Brentwood, so the next town over.
Yeah.
And it was kind of in a really transitional point in my life. I was like, I had these ideas. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to go to like a prestigious university. And then I just said, you know what? I don't want to spend all my time and money on something that like I'm doing for the wrong reasons. And I'm really, really enjoying jiu-jitsu. So I'm just going to do that. And at blue belt, I just started helping with the kids and just did jiu-jitsu like 7 days a week, 2 or 3 times a day, and then would work at the restaurants to make money.
When did you start competing in jiu-jitsu, and how has that come along to where you are today?
I was competing since the beginning, since white belt. Yeah, I was like, my coach was like, you like competition? I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. So let's do it. And so we went, my first tournament was at Pan Am's in LA. They used to do it, like, I think it's Cal State Dominguez. And so yeah, I competed a lot, white belt, blue belt, purple, all the way to black. You know, I was never like the best competitor, but I just enjoyed being out there and win some matches, lose some matches. But yeah, I tell people like I'll never forget my first tournament was the Pan Am's. I went out there, right, and I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't nervous at all.
Right.
And then I get in the match, and the guy I remember he was a half guard, and I stood up, and I just saw the moment, and the guy kind of sat up, and I jumped a triangle on him. I finished him with a triangle, like just like a flying triangle.
Nice.
And so I was like, everything was instinct, and it was kind of pretty cool. I think the second match that day, I lost my points. But yes, I always competed. It was always a part of my growth in jiu-jitsu. So I really recommend it for people who are able to, and, you know, to help them grow. But I know it's not for everybody, and it's not necessary. But I found it very, very helpful for me.
When I started jiu-jitsu, it was like close to a year and a half ago. I had been doing it for maybe a month and a half, and I signed up for a tournament.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey guys, I signed up for a tournament. You guys gonna go coach me? And they're like, you did what? Yeah, like, why'd you do that? What's the point of doing it if you're not gonna test yourself against other people?
Right.
So there I went, signed up for a tournament, no gi, and the first guy I had to fight was another wrestling coach.
Oh, cool.
That I know.
Oh, wow.
Like from a team that we compete against on, like, they were in our league. So I'm like, great, like it's just going to be a wrestling match. And it was wrestling basically, you know, but he had been training for way longer than I had been training. Like my coach talked to him after, and he started over here at AKA back in the day, but no one ever promoted him. So he was like, well, no one ever promoted me.
Yeah, he was a sandbagging white belt.
So he was in the white belt division. I mean, it is what it is, but it's the opportunity to test yourself, to try to do what you're learning at your school, you know?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm trying to do is, you know, learn what they're giving us as instruction, technique, and what have you, and then try to go out and put it to use.
Right.
And I mean, Coffee Crew does a great job of getting a lot of people together, and you're able to test it against people that are not from your gym too, you know? So that part of it I like.
So I think some gyms or some coaches, maybe they try to shy away from having people compete too soon. Like, oh, you need to train for at least 4 or 6 months before you start competing, right? Because they want them to get to maybe a certain level of proficiency before they compete.
Right.
I don't discourage people from competing if they want to. Like if they've been training for 1 month and I want to go compete because they want to test themselves with their competitor. Maybe they're maybe they're young and aggressive and they want to go see, right? I say, yeah, let's go do it. I check them, make sure they're doing it for the right reasons, right? Because it's in a reality check that if you're going out there after 1 month, you're going to learn a lot of lessons, and it might be hard learned. You might get your ass kicked,
right?
At least once or twice.
Take a couple ass whoopings.
and it's a good reminder because there's nothing that you can do to really recreate the tournament, right? Because the tournament is a different level than when you compete on the mat at your gym or even the coffee crew. Like you could try to recreate it.
Like our coach says in our gym, it's a safe place.
Yeah.
Right. So we promote that it's safe, that tap early. Like if something doesn't feel right, let us know. Like we'll fix it. Like, if someone's been too aggressive, hey, like you need to calm down. Like we're here to learn. We're here to make each other better.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing here at Coffee Crew. Like we want to make each other better. We want to test what we're doing, but not in a live. It's a live situation, but it's not a live situation, right? Like in a competition, that guy wants to win, you want to win.
Mm-hmm.
So the results may be a little bit more,
Yeah. It's 100 for sure. Yeah. I kind of come to realize that in a gym, maybe 10% of the students are competitors, right? And the other 90% are there to just, that's why you have to protect the people in the gym when you're here, because
they're just trying to learn.
Yeah, they're just trying to get a sweat. They're trying to move. They're trying to have fun. They're trying to learn self-defense, right? They're going 60, 75%. Like they're not giving it their 100 because they don't want to get hurt, right?
Right.
And that's the majority of people that do jiu-jitsu. So you really can't recreate it. You have to have a competition class, and then you can go like really hard a couple of days a week or 3 days a week or whatever. But it just never really matches up to the same sensation and experience than when you get out there and go for it.
Compete. Like
it's a test.
It's you against him, and someone's got to win.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you decide that you were going to open up your own place?
Early, when I was a purple belt, I thought like, oh, this could be a career path for me. Jiu-jitsu and teaching and opening a gym. And I thought that was like the only way to do it, like I'm going to do it, get my black belt and open a gym. And then the more responsibilities I took at my coach's gym, the more I realized that running a gym is not just getting on the mat and coaching and training,
Yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't see.
Yeah. And, I saw the stress that is involved with it. And then I started questioning my initial thoughts of opening a gym and running my gym. And I'm like, maybe I just want to coach for somebody, get in, coach, get out, and kind of have it. And it's still my lifestyle, but I don't think I wanted to commit. I think when I got my black belt, I was in that headspace, like, now what? So then I went to San Jose State, and I thought, okay, I want to, since I dropped out of school around blue belt, when I was like 20 or something, I was like, I'm gonna go back and get my degree, and I got my black belt in jiu-jitsu at 26, and so I went back to San Jose State because it's local and they have a good judo program. So I thought I could learn judo and have something that will complement my martial arts lifestyle, that be a little more well-rounded. Gotcha. And I still pull guard till this day, even though I'm a judo black belt. So, not much has changed, but at least now I have that. If I feel much more comfortable on my feet, I know that I can stand with a lot of people, most people in jiu-jitsu at least. I've trained with some judo Olympians and judo national champions that just are on a whole nother level than I am.
So the judo thing, you got started at San Jose State?
Yeah, 2013 when I started. So
they had classes?
Yeah, they had the classes there. I trained with David Williams. Like I came in there and I was like, hey, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, I want to do the intermediate class, right? And he's like, you can, but you have to sign up the way the structure. You do the beginner class, and do the intermediate class, and then you can then train with the varsity team, which is like where all the black belt and the competitors train.
Mhm.
They train like every day in the evening.
Okay.
So I started training with them like 2 days a week, 3 days a week, and just little, by the end of I was there 3 years, finishing up my kinesiology degree,
Mhm.
and I got promoted to brown belt. And in my last couple of semesters, I would go to the varsity team, but it just didn't work with my schedule. Like
Right.
I just would show up and do my best, but I wasn't able to make it because they did it in the evenings, like at 6 or 7,
Mhm.
and that was school full time and working full time, and the evenings it just was so hard. So
And still train jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu was kind of on the backseat. Actually, I kind of took a break from jiu-jitsu.
Oh, okay.
Like while I was here, I visited some. I would probably say I trained throughout my whole time I was at the university for those 3 years. I probably trained like every other month. Like I did judo, and during the judo we do some newaza. So I was still training judo and jiu-jitsu 3 days a week, 4 days a week. But it was not like jiu-jitsu specific. It was just like judo. So I was
With
kind of
a little bit of jiu-jitsu.
little bit of groundwork, yeah. So I wasn't completely not doing jiu-jitsu, but not like I was before. So for those 3 years, I would visit some jiu-jitsu gyms here and there, some friends' gyms, and maybe I could say like once every other month or something. But it was tough, yeah. When I came back to train jiu-jitsu full time, like that was a very humbling moment as a black belt to come back regularly train jiu-jitsu. It took me at least 2 or 3 months to kind of get back back on the bike and get my
stamina.
Stamina was one thing, but it was just mostly timing.
Okay.
Like just everything was timing. Like everything, I was just 2 steps behind on everything because my body wasn't used to the timing and the reflexes and everything.
Right.
So it was tough.
You now have your own class, jiu-jitsu class at San Jose State now.
Yeah.
And how did that come to be?
That was really cool. After I graduated, then I started teaching at Smash gyms, jiu-jitsu, and that's where I was able to like get my bearings back underneath me, get my ass kicked for 2 months or so, and then like, okay, now I can wear my black belt with pride again. It took a while, but I think that was in like 2016, and I was like, well, I want to get my black belt and judo. I'm a brown belt, so I would go back to San Jose State to train with Coach Dave. 2-3 days a week on a regular basis, and then I had some black belts in judo that I trained with at Smash. Patrick, he really helped me a lot, and Michael Jen helped me a lot, so they were kind of also helped me. So I was training like 4 or 5 days a week. But I think around then, 2016 or so, they were trying to do a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class at San Jose State, and there was this purple belt whose wife works at the university, and this I can't think of his name right at the moment. It'll probably pop up in a second, but he was going to coach the class, and then it was like a whole thing. Like it took like a couple of years for them to get approved, and they have to do like background checks and like check his credentials.
Right.
And then he got a job at a university, and he couldn't teach the class.
He couldn't commit to it.
Right. But then his teammate was a friend of mine.
Okay.
So he's like, his teammate Zach was like, oh, I have a friend that he's still connected at San Jose State. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt. Maybe he'll teach a class. And so I was training with him at judo on a regular basis at when I was earning my black belt. And then he's like, hey, you want to do this? I'm like, hell yeah. So he got me in connection with the professor that couldn't do it. And luckily, he already had kind of a syllabus and a curriculum kind of laid out. So I was like, okay, I can take this as a template. And because, there's a whole academic side to, the syllabus. And it's not just come and teach whatever you feel like that day, right?
Right.
And so they recommended me. And then I think from that point, it took at least 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Until they finally approved it. It was just like, with the university, so much red tape, and it's a brand new class. It wasn't a pre-existing class.
Right.
So that was an issue. Like there was some, and then there was the dean changed a couple times. So it was a bunch of stuff that happened. And I was like telling my friends, yeah, I'm going to coach in fall. And then they're like, maybe spring. Like, oh, and then pandemic hit. And then, okay, cut that off.
Right.
So I think it was like altogether like 4 years until finally after the pandemic and they went back in person, it got approved. And then I tweaked, I created the curriculum, changed it to the way I thought would be successful. And I started teaching there spring 2022. So this semester right now is my third semester.
And how's that going?
Oh, I like it a lot. Like, it's so fun because the one is that most people, like I have 30 people in the class, and I would say at least 25 of them have never done jiu-jitsu before. So the first day, everyone's trying to like tie their belt, their pants are on backwards, and they're like, right. So it's just nice to see like brand new beginners,
right,
and to see them just excited about jiu-jitsu, right? They learn some fun. Mm-hmm. And every day, like when they're training, they're smiling and I love it because I'll try to like, they do a little sparring at the end, positional sparring, and they're just like enjoying it, having a good time. So it's nice to see that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I really enjoy it. It really helped me a lot as a coach because it made me think about jiu-jitsu in a different way when coaching, because of the curriculum aspect and academic aspect. Like they have to do a midterm and a final where they perform techniques for me or for other coach that I bring to help me. They do journals. They watch jiu-jitsu videos or jiu-jitsu documentaries and write about it. So
all of that, and now you have your own studio here. And how's this studio going?
Great.
You're doing both.
Yeah. So I teach at the San Jose State twice a week, Monday and Wednesday, and so it's like right in the middle of the day, like 1:30 to 3:30.
Oh, okay.
So I get done with the noon class here, and then I go straight there, and then I come back for the kids and the adults. So Mondays and Wednesdays are a long day, but it works. The timing works.
Me being like the newer guy in jiu-jitsu, I got promoted in January, so I'm a blue belt now.
Congratulations! I didn't know that. That's what's up.
What kind of advice do you have for the new guys coming through, technique-wise, just jiu-jitsu advice for us newer people?
That's a good question because it's hard to answer because everyone that comes, like you said, there's some people come in, they're in their 40s. Some people come in, they're 18, right? So everyone that comes and does jiu-jitsu for the first time is on a different stage of their life and they're a different person.
Right.
But I think maybe some of the general advice that I could give is to find the right gym and the right professor for them. That's probably the biggest thing because you come to the gym and you should communicate with your professor like what you're looking for, as far as like, hey, I want to compete. Hey, I can only come twice a week.
Right.
I'm a doctor. I have to use my hands. Or I think that's it because you get that vibe at the like our gym is I feel is very community based, very family friendly. Everyone's having a good time. We don't take everything too seriously. At the same time, we do like to compete and we like to prepare accordingly.
Right.
But I think everyone feels really at home and comfortable here. But that might not be for everybody. Maybe some people want to come and get to a real competitive vibe where every day is a hard roll and every day they're just a grind, right? And you're not going to find that here. Like I said, we're more like community based, more family friendly. So I think when you're looking to start, you should try as many gyms as you can. Do your research, take advantage of that free trial, and just it's a feeling when you get there, right? You see that feeling that vibes with you,
right? But that could be like a misleading too, right? Because the jiu-jitsu community, I feel like is really like welcoming.
Yeah.
Like, so every gym that we've gone to, that I've gone to, like through Coffee Crew, everybody's just so welcoming. You feel like you can go there, but just because you feel that way during like the open mats or what have you, I guess what you're saying is a good idea to go and take those free classes because you're not going to get the same vibe per se that you're getting at Coffee Crew.
Oh, 100%.
So you're going to get more of a.
There's no instruction at Coffee Crew. We just hang out and roll. Have coffee and roll, and there's no instruction. And then you got people from all over, and people that come to the Coffee Crew is a different. I think is not everybody in jiu-jitsu comes to Coffee Crew, and not everybody in jiu-jitsu comes to those community open mats.
Right.
So that's 1% of the community. So when you come here, you get that. For the most part, everyone's really cool. You got a good vibe, right?
Yeah,
welcoming,
for sure.
But I think when you come and you see what kind of program that gym has in place, what kind of curriculum they have, how can people progress, you know, belt levels or what have you, how can they grow, right? So can they see this? I can see how this gym is going to help me grow because they have these classes, they have this program in place, they have this instructor, we have these teammates that I can see I fit.
Right.
Yeah, like a extended family almost.
Yeah.
Team.
How can anybody get a hold of you if they want to come in and look at your gym?
Yeah, we're in Sunnyvale, California, 548 South Murphy Avenue. I'm on Instagram, Team Daruma Dojo, Facebook, as well as YouTube, Team Daruma Dojo. So feel free to reach out anytime and come check out the gym. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. It was fun.
Definitely.